Our next speaker is someone who's spoken out on college campuses at the ivory towers of the most elite universities throughout the country. She's taught at Yale and at George Mason University, and she's debated proponents of same-sex marriage wherever she can, whether it's at major Ivy League universities or wherever else. And she understands and has lived the idea that we have an obligation to protect marriage and to do so rationally, to do so with everything that we have. She's the president of the Ruth Institute, which is a project of the National Organization for Marriage, Dr. Jenny Roback Morse.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I came in all the way from San Diego yesterday. All of you in the back, move in a little closer. I want to see everybody, and I want those poor policemen in the back there to be able to hear what I have to say, too. So come on in closer. Now, as Brian said, I have a history in academic life, and one of my problems as a spokesman for Prop 8 is that I wanted to turn the whole campaign into a seminar, and they didn't like that. I wasn't allowed to do that. So I could quite literally talk to you about the reasonableness of marriage, of man-woman marriage. I could literally talk to you about that for 4 hours. In fact, I made a 4-hour, 4-CD tape series on that very subject, which you can find at ruthinstitute.org if you're interested. My point today is to talk to you about just 1 or 2 issues that will help you to make the case for marriage. Now, I know that I am not going to be able to tell you everything I know about this subject in the 10 minutes that Brian's letting me talk. I would have to be talking really, really, really fast, and that would be really uncool, so I'm not going to do that. I've got just a couple things I want to tell you, but there's one big takeaway that I want all of you to have. Whether you grasp everything I'm saying at the first time through or not, I don't care. What I want you to take away from this is that it is possible to make a reasoned defense of marriage. And you will hear and you will see that I can go many rounds with my opponents. And if they try to hoot me down and say, you have no reasons, since I don't understand your reasons, it must be that you're a bigot, because if I don't understand your reasons, there must not be any reasons. I want you to understand we have reasons, okay? And so what I'm going to be doing is recording these little talks, and we'll put them up on the Ruth Institute website on the blog page, and you can listen to them later and pass them along to your friends. So the first question that I want to take up today is just this question. What is the purpose of marriage? Basic, foundational question. What is the essential public purpose of marriage? That's what I want to talk about. What is the essential public purpose of marriage? Now, this is important. All the courts know that it's important, because when they decide whether marriage can be the union of a man or a woman, or whether it can be the union of any 2 persons, they ask themselves, what's the public essential purpose of marriage? And if they find that gender is not related to the important purpose of marriage, then they say, okay, fine, you can have same-sex marriage, okay? That's the way the argument works in the courts. That's how the Iowa court opinion reads. That's how the poor judge who lost his mind down there in Boston. That's how the thing works, okay? So it's important to understand, what is the essential public purpose of marriage? So to understand that, we have to first understand that there's a difference between a public purpose and a private purpose. A public reason to have marriage as a public institution versus a private, personal reason to get married yourself. Okay? So if we ask yourself, well, why do I want to get married? I have all kind of reasons I might want to get married. I might like the dress, you know, and I want to have the big party. I might want to get married so I can get out of my parents' house. I might want to get married because it'll irritate my previous boyfriend who should have married me. I could have all kinds of reasons, private, personal reasons for wanting to get married. But none of that has the slightest thing to do with the public purpose of marriage. You see what I mean? There can be hundreds of such private reasons, but that's not what we're talking about. We want to know, what's the public purpose of marriage? Why should we have marriage in the first place? Why should there be such a thing where people put on dresses and so on, right? What is the point of that? The public purpose of marriage. This is what we want to emphasize. The public purpose of marriage is, and always has been, to attach mothers and fathers to their children and to one another. That's the public purpose of marriage. To attach mothers and fathers to their children and to one another. That's what it's about. That's the public purpose of marriage. Now I want to go a little further and say that this is the essential public purpose of marriage. Now what do I mean when I say essential? I mean, if it weren't for that particular purpose, you wouldn't need marriage. Okay? So let's do this little thought experiment. Let us suppose that the human